episode of the Wicked Manor podcast. In this episode, we will talk about the Wicked Manor podcast, what it's about, some of the episodes and topics coming up, and all kinds of spooky things. And then also in this episode, we will talk about Wicked FX Manor, what it's about, some of the products that we have, some of the products that we plan to sell, all that good stuff coming up in this episode. So won't you join us?
Welcome to the first episode of the Wicked Manor podcast. I'm your host, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the Wicked Manor podcast as well as my Halloween business that goes with this podcast, Wicked FX Manor. We will discuss what the podcast is about, what it will cover as far as topics, and break down each of those topics so you know what those topics will entail. Then we will get into my Halloween business. What are some of the things I plan to sell in the future and what are the products I do currently have. So let's get started with the Wicked Manor podcast. So where did I come up with the idea for the podcast? Well, since I was planning and starting a Halloween business, I said to myself, why not do a podcast to go along with the business? To not only talk about some of the spooky things that I love personally, but also to promote the products for my business. And with previous experience doing online radio and podcast, I said, why not do it here? The only difference between this podcast and what I did before is this will not be live unless I do a live stream, which I will need your help to build up enough followers to where I can go live. And then two, I won't be doing many live streams. Another difference is my previous show, it was all live all the time, and I had guests on the show to talk about the show's topic. Not saying I won't have guests on in the future, but for now, it's just going to be me talking to the camera like I'm doing now about the topics for that episode. So, what are some of the topics that the show will cover? Well, there are going to be three main topics, and then each one will be broken down into subtopics. The first one is the paranormal. Now, I spent 30 years in the paranormal field, and I feel that it goes well with the podcast to talk about it. So breaking it down into subtopics, we will talk about haunted locations, places I've been to, places I would love to go to. We'll talk about what I think about each location and about the spirits at that location. Now, I will not only talk about ghosts, but some other things in the paranormal that are spooky or strike fear into someone. Another topic that this podcast will cover is the horror films genre, horror films in general. I wanted to be a horror film writer and director, in which I do have a couple of short horror films out there and have plans for a third one as soon as I can get a chance to do it. But I also got 2 full feature screenplays that I want to get filmed. But that might be later on down the road, or I might just sell the screenplays to someone else that can make my vision I had for them into reality. So, what do I want to discuss about horror films? Well, I already have a fascination with horror films, and I guess you could say it started at birth since I was born on the same day and year that the original Exorcist came out in theaters. The thing with horror films is that spooky and scary factor. Well, when I was younger, the horror films had what it takes to scare people by building up to the scare with music or subtle scenes, cues that made it wonder what was going to happen. You knew it was coming when you heard that music hit or saw the character in the back of the frame. New horror films don't seem to have that. Not saying all of them, but a lot of them lack that build up to the jump scare or the storytelling where you know what's going to happen but don't know when. Most of them want to go right into that jump scare without any build up or lack of a storyline that you can follow along in the film. As far as topic, I will break down horror films, past and present, tell you what I think about them, what they could have done different, what I would have done in that situation had I written or directed that film. I will also talk about my short horror films and some other short horror films and tell you what I think would make them good in a full feature film. And of course, I would love to know your thoughts on what the episode that talks about them comes out by leaving a comment down below in the episode. And finally, the reason I added this podcast to my Halloween business. Halloween and all things Halloween, spooky, whatever, along with my love with the paranormal and horror films, Halloween is right up there. It's actually at the top. I always tell people Halloween is my Christmas. I get excited when I see new Halloween stores open or new products come out for the season. And for me, Halloween is not a holiday or just a season long. For me, it is year round. The day after Halloween, I'm already thinking about and planning next year's stuff. Now, what I do when I'm thinking about it is what I want to do for the haunt, what I want for costume, how I want to set up my decorations. That's what I'm thinking about the day right after Halloween. I'm already planning next year's. So, what do I want to talk about for this main topic? Well, I'll break it down like this. We will talk about props, decorations, how they are made, and what I think about them. Now, you can see one of my props right up here that I made on my bookshelf. That was made with a cheap plastic skull that had a hinged jaw, and I unhinged it and added things to it to make it look like it had been in the ground not too long, or the flesh had been eaten off or fallen off and all the meaty parts were showing. I do have tutorials on how to make one of those for yourself if you want. However, some people just don't have the time, resources, money, or the know-how or interest to make one of them themselves, so they rather just purchase it. That is where something like that will come in nice for my Halloween business, where I can make it custom to what you want and look that you're looking for. Other things we will just talk about in the topic in different costumes, makeups, haunts, decoration setups, and so forth. I want to do a show or more on makeup tutorials, especially special effects makeup work. I want to talk about custom masks and masks that I think are well made. And of course, I want to talk about digital decorations. Now, I've yet to fully learn how to make digital decorations, but there are a few things I need to make custom digital decorations. That being a place where I can film on a green screen and the actors to play the parts. Now, I want to make those custom to a customer's need, but that will be later on down the road. Until then, I want to partner with Atmos FX to sell their digital decorations. Atmos FX has good digital decorations, but if you want to do a storyline with them, you have to have the knowledge to edit them and splice them together to get the scene that you want. Now, not everyone knows how to do that, but that is why I want to do custom ones so people can tell a story for their haunts or their yard decorations. But we will talk about those as well as other things about digital decoration, the episode on Halloween stuff in the future. Now that we have talked about the podcast, let's get into the reason for the podcast, my Halloween business that I have been planning and starting, Wicked FX Manor. So, how did I come up with the name for the business? Well, it comes from a combination of things. Wicked because I see myself as wicked at times. FX for special effects, which I love. I love special effects films and masks and makeup, all that. And the Manor part for the love of Halloween haunted houses and the paranormal. So, what are some of the products I plan to sell and have now? Well, what I all want to sell for this business is costumes, makeups, props, decorations, physical and digital, masks, t-shirts, and other products with a Halloween spooky, scary flair to them. Let's start with costumes, which you'll see some of the costumes that I plan. I want to sell everything from cheap costumes to high-end ones where someone either uses them for a movie or cosplay. As far as makeup, the same applies to cheap and the high-end stuff. For props and decorations, I will sell some of the cheaper stuff, but I will also have some of the higher-end stuff as well. Also, when it comes to props and decorations, I do want to eventually make custom props and decorations for people, whether it's yard haunt, a bigger haunt, or for filmmakers. As I mentioned earlier in this skull right here, I made it look realistic with just a plastic cheap skull to start out with. That is not all the custom props and decorations I plan to make. Some other things being custom headstones, gallows, pits of hell, stockades, etc. Just about anything you can imagine. Something that's spooky. And if you got an idea for a custom prop that you want, let me know and I might be able to make it. Now, other types of decoration include digital decorations, as I mentioned before. Now, at first, I want to partner with Atmos FX to sell their digital decorations, as I said, and will continue to do so even after I start making my own custom digital decorations. Now, masks are another thing I want to sell, but also custom-made masks as well. Say somebody has a mask, but you want to change it up a little bit, I might be able to do that. And lastly is t-shirts and other smaller products that you can use any time of the year, not just during spooky season. Now, I do have currently like 9 different designs, maybe a little more after you see this, or before you see this, uploaded to my store, and all of them have t-shirts for men and women. All but the podcast designs have other products such as coffee mugs and other drinkware, cell phone cases, candles, stickers, magnets, hats, and coasters. You can see some of the different products and designs here on screen, and I'll let a couple of them go just so you can see. Now, if you have a specific color or other product that you want that design on, and I can get it, I can make a custom order just for you, but the products that are custom, there will be no refunds or returns. All others you can return and get a refund. Now, if I get high enough demand for a product that I do not sell, then I will add it to the list and get it. I will leave a link in the description where you can visit the current store that I have, and you can pick up one of those products with a spooky design on it. Now, I am limited on designs that I have now, And with the spooky season coming up, I will not be able to upload all of my designs. I got like 24 right now. But as I said, I only got about 10 right now uploaded, 9, 10. And that's all I'm going to have right away. Now, I will each week upload a new design until I have uploaded all the designs that I have for now. And I will eventually make some new designs. So keep checking out the store and of course all my social media sites for updates on when I upload or make a new design or have a promotion, whatever. Well, I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the Wicked Manor podcast. Next week, I will do an episode on the origins of Halloween. How Halloween got its start, where it came from, and how the traditions came to be. So I hope to see you then, and if you haven't done so already, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, hit that notification bell, share with all your spooky friends so you and them do not miss one spooky moment of the Wicked Manor podcast. Also, I will be posting on all the social media sites what other episodes will be coming up in the future, like a week before them. And be sure to follow me on, of course, all the other Wicked FX Manor social media sites. Links for those in the description, as well as the Wicked FX Manor store where you can buy t-shirts and other products. Again, thank you. Until then, stay spooky, my friends.
Well, that's all for this episode. But join us next week for another spooky episode, won't you? Until then, stay spooky.